We are live, at least from the thumbs up from Stephan. I think we are live again. And he's probably just going to try and chew through this podcast or this video cast and avoid talking about a certain game that may or may not have happened on Friday. And I suspect one of these two lads will be significantly happier football-wise this weekend than the other. But the usual suspects, Stephan and Annie, are both here. How are you fine gentlemen doing? Just ignore the fact we've talked for about 5 minutes off camera.
Not too bad, Michael. Not too bad at all, for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Crap.
Well, what is that? Both personally or football or both?
Football. Who cares about my personal life?
I was waiting to see if your response was going to be okay personally, and then football comes in. Oh shit! Never mind.
There's a bit of a balancing act. They kind of intertwine. So the football's been so crap that my personal life has just naturally taken a dip along with it. So it's nothing to do with my personal life. Purely football.
Well, it's okay.
What I'm saying is, my mental health depends on Bristol City.
I can relate to that, to be fair. Not so much the Bristol City did, but yeah, your mental health depends on the outcome of your football club every weekend, and yeah, so I can relate to how Annie is feeling, certainly.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, we'll try and speed through these along so we can get to Annie's suffering at the end, talking about Bristol City versus Derby.
Can we not?
Yeah.
And some of transfer news as well from.
Oh, for God's sake, you have to mention that as well.
Even more depressed, mate. Come on.
Crying out loud, man. Give me a break. I literally, right, this is my Friday night. I sit down, I watch the football, I get depressed. I switch on Twitter, and the first thing I see, Zach Viner's going to leave Bristol City. Brilliant. Now my Friday night's even more depressed. I come on here, 2 minutes after talking to Stephan, I see my phone going. And Zach Viner's been announced as a Wrexham player. Just completely slipped my mind. So yeah, this weekend has been nothing short of completely awful. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's about it. In terms of the transfer, it is what it is, I suppose. Good centre back, very, very, very good centre back. 20 years at Bristol City. Don't know where he'll play in that Wrexham back three, but that's if you want to get into the Championship playoffs, Zach Viner is the type of player you need in that back three. But always barking at people, sort of the captain, not the captain, as in Jason Knight's the captain, club captain, but he's the leader in that team, and always barking at people, always shouting. So if he slots in on the right hand side of a back three for Wrexham, I think he'll suit Parky Ball well enough. And yeah. That I think that's more painful than losing Anis Mehmeti, purely because 20 years at a football club, Bristol boy, sort of come through the academy product, and he's been sold for 1.5 million with 6 months left on his contract, whilst directly to a playoff rival. That stings. That hurts badly. So yeah, good luck to Zach, but just shows more incompetence at the football club, which I'm sure we'll talk about at the end.
Stephan's reaction there looked like he was yawning during it, and then as soon as you started getting angry, then he goes, "Yes, Wrexham lads, get in there." But not to throw Stephan too much under the bus there. But yes, I can certainly empathise what you're saying. When a club lets players go down the last 6 months of their contracts, it is not great, is it? So, but yeah, we will talk about that at the end when we talk about the Wrexham and Bristol City games respectively. So let's get into this so we can not prolong Annie's suffering any more than we have to. So let's start right at the top. As always, we'll start at the very top. So Coventry, this is an interesting one. Now, if Ant was on here, this would probably be his most favourite part of the whole thing, talking about how Coventry will apparently be bottling it and how they're a smaller club than Leicester, blah, 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 any of that stuff. But as, of course, Ant conveniently has a social life now, so he won't be here more than likely. So we'll see. But yes, I'll start with Stephan on this. So QPR 2, Coventry 1. And I think it's safe to say that QPR might have had a bit of motivation, given that it was a very close game of 7-1 in the reverse fixture to Coventry back in August. But as great as a win it is for QPR, and we should give them plaudits for it for coming from behind, are Coventry starting to wobble here?
Oh.
Certainly away from home, I would argue they are.
Are Coventry starting to wobble? Away from home, yes. At home, no.
No, I'd agree with that.
Because we've made the CBS Arena a fortress. their home stadium a fortress, which you should rightly do no matter what club you are. But their away form over the last 3 to 4 weeks has been quite patchy. Very, very patchy. To the point where they had that unassailable league. We were all saying, oh, we'll be fine if we lose this game, we can bounce back in the next one, blah, 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 blah. But the bounce back has never seemed to materialise since last time we mentioned this little sort of factoid. To the point where they're only top now on goal difference. And I think it's only like 10 goals of a difference between them and Middlesbrough from when I was looking at the table. So 10 goals is nothing. You could eclipse 10 goals in, say, 2 or 3 games. But the fact
right, it's 10 goal difference, yeah.
But the fact is, if Coventry lose again on the road, or they draw at home, or whatever, then Middlesbrough is going to swoop in and go top. That's the fact. The fact is, if you don't win crucial games, they're the games that can lose you your weak position and ultimately a big prize at the end of the season. And I think that Frank is going to have to do some work on the training pitch. He might not need to sell as many players on deadline, but he should certainly be thinking about bringing players in to strengthen the squad, players that could challenge other players for their place, because it might make the current squad think, oh wait, there's new blood coming through the door. We need to step up and play. And we do need to step up and play if we want to keep their top of the status going, because if not, they're going to lose it, because even though, and we'll get onto this later, but even though Ipswich Town drew yesterday with P&E, Ipswich Town could strike as well, because they're on 53, Middlesbrough and Coventry is on 58, so it's tight. And Coventry need to start picking wins up again. That's fact.
I think another thing to point out, I'm just looking at Coventry's recent run here. The last time they won away from home was at the back end of November. Now, to be fair, it was a big one. They beat Middlesbrough 4-2, but I've started to notice a pattern here of Coventry away from home, if I'm right.
Yeah.
Not so much they've lost their last, let me check this right here. They've lost their last 3 away from home in the Championship.
Yeah.
They haven't won in their previous, so they had 4 away games in the Championship this month. They didn't win 1. They only took 1 point, which was a 1-1 draw at Charlton. So that means that's 6, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
6 games away from home without a win. But here's another thing, Annie, that I've noticed about Coventry's away form. And their home form, like Stephan said, the home form, I don't worry about Coventry too much. I think they will get a lot of points. And the big thing for Coventry, if we're going to be balanced, is they have a home game against Oxford coming up. And then the big one, which is Middlesbrough at the CBS on the 16th of February, I believe it is. Or 15th, sorry. So the 15th or the 16th. Monday Night Football, basically. So, but I've noticed a pattern here. Preston, and I believe Preston were down to 10 men, I believe. Coventry were 1-0 up, drew 1-1. Southampton, okay, to be fair, Coventry were 1-0 up, but they went down to 10 men. So that's still a good point, I think.
Yep.
Charlton, I believe, if I'm wrong, then correct me, but I think they were leading away at Charlton, drew 1-1.
Yeah.
Birmingham, okay, Birmingham's a hard ground. But even the last 2, Norwich and QPR are not easy fixtures, but they were winning in both of them. So, yeah, the problem they're going to have for me is if they're not going to deliver away from home, then they have to nearly pretty much win every home game if they want to go up automatically.
Exactly.
Which they're capable of, by the way, but I don't want them to they shouldn't put the pressure on that solely.
I think the trouble for Covers, they've got Middlesbrough, who are red hot behind them, have won 5 in a row, I think.
Something like that, yeah.
Since Kim Hellberg has come in, they've won 9 games, which is like an obscene amount already. I think out of let me do the maths, 13 potentially. 13 games, he's won 9 of them, Kim Hellberg, in the league. And
so that's 27 points out of a possible 39, and that's not including a few draws in there.
Yeah, so one single draw in there against
Okay,
Blackburn
so
at home.
28 out of 39 then. That's pretty good going. That's very
pretty,
good going.
It's not bad, is it? So that's not helped, and they've completely they've sandwiched themselves, haven't they? They are they've leveled themselves up with Cov. Hull, I think, are the best team in the division over the last 10 games. Ipswich are sort of motoring along nicely. I know they haven't won the last couple, but just before that, they were well at 2 points per game and sort of keeping up with Cov. So we said, right, the margin of error was there for Coventry because of that amazing run they had at the start of the season where they, I think, won 11 and 12 or something like that. They've used up that margin for error. That margin for error is gone. They have to start sort of knocking out. I'm not saying go back to 11 and 12 wins and, make yourself clear at the top again. I'm saying knock out 2 points per game just for a little bit. Win against Oxford. That if Coventry don't beat Oxford in midweek, that is a big alarm. That is big alarm bells. Like that is
ahead of a game against Middlesbrough as well.
Yeah, I'm not saying capitulation. This would be an extraordinary collapse if Coventry don't manage to get promoted from here. They're still 5 points clear of third place. I'm sure every Cov fan would take second. Whoever finishes first is not their concern. I think Coventry fans will take second place, but this is a big issue, I think. And, the standards are such at the top of the division. If you win, 2 in 7 games, if you win 2 games in 7 games, which is like mid-table, lower mid-table, sort of bottom half-ish form, it's not, absolutely outrageously terrible, but the standards are such at the top of the league where everyone wins. You will get caught up if you have a lead, or you will fall behind if you have a lead. Sheffield United last season had 1 bad week. They had 3 bad games in a row. That's it. That's all they had. They were consistent. They kept winning games.
That was the difference, wasn't it, for top 2
literally 3 bad games. That's all they had, Sheffield United, and then they ended up 10 points behind Burnley and Leeds at the end. That's how tight it is. That's how it's obscenely good standards at the top of the division. No team this season, though, has hit 2 points per game. Not even Cov or Borough. They're all below that. But if Coventry can match Middlesbrough, maybe just if they win their head-to-head, all things are all sort of rosy again. But yeah, they're putting a lot of pressure on that home game against Oxford, and obviously that game against Borough as well. This feels huge for Cov.
I'm looking at their home fixtures for the rest of the season as well, because it intrigues me to see what they've got. So they've got Oxford, then Middlesbrough, then Stoke later this month. And I still can't believe we're in February already, by the way. We're already a month into 2026. Where's it gone? And then in March, they've got Preston and Southampton. Then who have they got after that? In April, they've got Derby. They have Sheffield Wednesday, Portsmouth, and Wrexham. So I'm looking at most of those games. I mean, obviously, look, Wrexham will be tricky. Middlesbrough for them will be tricky. Southampton on paper should be tricky. Although every game's hard, if you know what I mean. But I think most of them, to me, if I'm a Cov fan, look winnable. Obviously, looking winnable and actually winning them are 2 different things, because this is the Championship. As I keep referring back to its peak Championship for clubs not to take advantage of this. But look, the bottom line is I'm not concerned about Coventry at home. It's just the away form that they need to start. They just need, because the away form is important, because they need to put less pressure. Even if you averaged, I'd say if you get 90 points, 90 points would be more than enough, personally. So I think, because although Middlesbrough's form, and we'll come on to Middlesbrough in a minute, Middlesbrough's form is fantastic. It's not going to last for the next 16 games to that ratio, to that rate. So I think 32 points out of 16 games, you're effectively asking it to be 2 points per game for the last third of the season. So I think Coventry have more than capable within it for them to do that. They could get, if they could try and get 3-4 wins away from home, or even say just 3 wins and a handful of draws away from home, as long as their home form continues to be decent, then I think they'll do it. I still think they'll go up. I still think they'll finish in the top 2. Because I think, like, what is it? Form's temporary, class is permanent, basically.
Yeah.
And I think Coventry are going to... I think Coventry will rediscover that again. So, but yeah, we shall wait and see. But to give QPR their credit, by the way, though, and I'll come back to you again, Annie, for this, because we can't absolve QPR credit here, because, yeah, don't worry, I'll waffle until you finish talking. It's fine. Yeah, okay. Sorry, so QPR's a great way for them to talk. Yeah. No. QPR, of course, lost 7-1 in the reverse fixture. What a better way to respond and put that game behind you than to come from behind against the league leaders and to actually beat them. And to just demonstrate once again how crazy the Championship is as a division.
Yeah, good revenge, and Nicholas Madsen's really stepped up in recent weeks. He's proven to be quite a really really good player for QPR. Richard Kone's back scoring, which is a big positive for Rangers. I'm just going to have a look at their recent form. QPR, they are set 11th. Yeah, that's their first win. So they beat Sheffield Wednesday. They've beaten Sheffield Wednesday, which, with all due respect, is Sheffield Wednesday this season, and they beat Leicester at home. Leicester are a bit of a mess, aren't they? So this is their first sort of win against a really viable team in a while. And you just wonder, is this the start of their sort of another one of their weird, quirky QPR runs where they just start winning? Sort of, they win, I don't know, 4 games in 5, and we all think, oh, this guys might actually be good, and then they don't win in 6 or something stupid. So, yeah, good from QPR, but needs more consistency, and they can't just be a one-off.
Very good, what he said. Pretty much to refer to Hot Fuzz. For anyone who hasn't seen it, it's a really funny movie. But yeah, no, I couldn't agree more, to be in all seriousness. Let's get on to the game. Probably what I would say, well, one of the 2 big winners, but probably the biggest winners of the weekend, which is Middlesbrough. First and foremost, I've got to say, this is a very, very impressive result. And I know on paper, Norwich down near the bottom, blah, 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 blah. But Norwich have really started to improve over the last few games. They've won away at Wrexham. They've won away. They've got spanked West Brom away from home, come from behind to beat Coventry. So I think, look, okay, West Brom aren't in great shape at the moment, but winning away at Wrexham with how good they've been recently is no mean feat. Because beating Coventry coming from behind is no mean feat. And so therefore, it was a really a match of 2 informed teams. And Stephan in particular, I want to say that obviously, first of all, Hayden Hackney, I've got to say, stunning goal to win the game. You know, I mean, obviously, I think it came from Norwich passing out from the back, so you could argue it's a mistake from their perspective. But look, not take it away, Hayden Hackney, and I think there was a Kim Hellberg apparently said in one of his post-match interviews that, you know, basically they're lucky to have Hayden Hackney still playing at Championship level. But either way, it's a great strike. But more importantly for Middlesbrough, what a stormer of a result that is, especially with the added context of what happened with Coventry.
Yeah, I mean, we've just said it as well. Middlesbrough have been on red hot form since Kim Hellberg took over from let's just say the short stint of Rob Jones as manager before he was headed off to Wolves, but that's another story. But since Kim Hellberg's came in, we've been super red hot. And I can see them definitely getting promotion. It's just a question of what position they're going to finish in. And what a goal from the left foot of Hayden Hackney. I've just seen it on the highlights before we came on tonight. And what a goal. What a hit. I'm surprised he's not already been on target for Premier League clubs, because I think he could easily make the step up to the next level. And I think if it doesn't happen in the summer, it's definitely going to happen this season after. But I think he could easily make the step up. Specdonos, we'll get on to that shortly, but thank you for your lovely comment in the comments.
Boo.
But we will come on to that shortly. We will discuss the second last one and the last comment soon. But yeah, what a strike, and Middlesbrough they're just fine at the moment.
And actually, to be fair, from very quickly on Hayden Hackney, I think it's pretty captain obvious for me to say this, but I think Middlesbrough need to get promoted this time to really keep hold of Hayden Hackney, because if they don't, he's next year's the last year of his contract, I think. So there will come a point where as gutting as it will be to let him go, they're probably going to have to in order to get a decent amount of money and actually reinvest that. But Annie, I was going to say, to be fair, well, quickly, I mean, it's great that Middlesbrough managed to maintain this level of form. Is it enough? Is it a lot to ask them to do at this level over the next 16 games? Probably. But there's no doubt, but to close the gap to Coventry, when at one point, I think when Coventry beat them, the gap must have been something like 10 points or whatever it was. To maintain that, to claw that back is impressive. And also from Norwich's point of view, by all accounts, from what I'm seeing, Norwich seems like they played quite well. And actually, if on another day could have got something away at one of the toughest games in the I was going to say the Premier League there in the Championship. So, yeah, I think there's going to be positives for Philip Clement as good as the win is for Borough.
Yeah, and Norwich have had 2 really difficult games. They've had the top 2 last 2 games, haven't they? And they've got 3 points, which I think is.
I think they would have snapped your hand off for a week ago.
Yeah. I think they'd be very happy with that, Norwich. And they're trending upwards. I don't think they're looking down anymore in the slightest. I think they're just thinking about how strongly can you finish the season, how much momentum can you take into next season. Never underestimate that. And maybe looking for a little bit more calm in the summer, potentially, just a little bit more sort of stability and helping Clement intercept in obviously few different areas.
And not sell one of your best players to Ipswich.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Josh Sargent is still there at the football club, but the MLS, I think window runs a little bit later than the January window, so I think they've got a little bit more time. A little bit more time if they do want to sell him to Toronto FC. So yeah, I don't think it's just kind of write that one off, and they played quite well. So for all intents and purposes, you can take the positives out of it. On Hayden Hackney, really quickly, I think if there was ever a time in his Middlesbrough career, if he was going to move on, I think it would have been last summer. And even then, he didn't want to go to Ipswich, who at the start of the season, we're all looking at Ipswich and Middlesbrough, and if we're comparing them, I think we're all agreeing that unanimously Ipswich would have had a much higher chance of promotion than Middlesbrough would have done at the start of the season. Obviously, hindsight is a wonderful thing, and you could make the flip argument now, potentially, with how the 2 teams are playing at the moment. I don't think he was ever going to leave this window just because he's a Middlesbrough boy, Borough fan, and look at where Borough in the league. I don't think he was ever going to ditch this ship. So yeah, I do have the consensus that if Middlesbrough don't get promoted this season, I think he might be off in the summer, but a little inkling in my 5th toe is telling me that Middlesbrough might well get promoted under Kim Hellberg. So one way or another. So yeah, I'm actually really positive, uber positive about Borough, because I think they're a cracking footballing team. I know they lost Ashton Gate, but I thought they were fantastic on the day. Actually, I thought they were really good, and were quite unlucky. And I really enjoyed Kim Hellberg. I've enjoyed Kim Hellberg sort of as a person so far in the interviews I've seen him, and the football, from what I'm hearing and what I've seen of it, is fantastic. And they never give up. Don't do they? They sort of,
no, they don't.
They keep going. The West Brom away was a perfect example, where they were 2-0 up, cruising, get pegged back to 2-2. Hawthorns can get on top of you. That's a really difficult place, but they kept their heads. They kept going. They kept doing the patterns. And a fringe player who's now no longer at the football club, Delano Bergzorg, comes on and then scores the winner. That's just the signs of a team that's everything's just molding and clicking at the right time. And I'm honestly so chuffed for those Borough fans, because when Edwards left, that would have been a proper punch to the gut. And have they just sort of fallen onto an upgrade in Kim Hellberg? I mean, what a football manager he is. So yeah, brilliant from Borough, and got my fingers crossed for them, to be honest.
I was going to mention. So go on, Stephan.
That managers that you've never really heard of, foreign managers, we can come into the British English football leagues, and you can almost make a instant impact at the club. It's like, yeah, your previous manager left, but here's a straight upgrade, and you're going to win like the next set of games at a canter, with a couple of draws, albeit an exception. But what a job he's done since taking over at the club.
And another point as well, like Annie alluded to, and I was going to mention this. Remember that they lost Rob Edwards, who I think had them top of the league before Coventry had that mental sort of
Yes.
run that took them top. So that could easily have derailed Middlesbrough, and it hasn't. And if anything, it's actually gone the other way. So fair play to is it Steve Gibson, the owner or the chairman there? So fair play to him for scouting him and for acting on. And I can imagine that the Rob Edwards compensation is looking pretty nice in the bank at the moment, even though they would have had to pay to get help. But you know what? But yes, I think we'll wait and see how the rest of the season goes for Borough. I think Borough still have to go to Ipswich and Coventry, and I think they've played Hull twice, haven't they? So yeah, but look, things looking very swimming for Middlesbrough at the minute. So I can imagine the Borough fans, rightly so, will be currently loving life at the moment. Let's quickly now. Usually I would talk about Ipswich next, but out of respect for the team that's third, let's mention them next because they are above Ipswich in the table. All. Stephan,
Wow.
I mean, what to say about this? I mean, Hull. I think if you said to Hull fans at the start of the season, after 29 games, you will be above every single parachute payment club. You'll be 2 points above Ipswich, who are fancy to win the league, and you'll be 5 points off the top of the table with a game in hand. Bearing in mind they just scraped survival on the final day of last season.
And transfer embargo.
Yeah, transfer embargo as well.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'd said that to any Hull fan at the start of the summer, they would have worried that they would have worried that I was on. I say this all the time, but they would have been worried I would have had a big injury to the head, or I would have been on some illegal substance to say that. So, yeah, what a job that's going on at Hull at the moment.
What a job! I mean, there's no words to actually describe Hull apart from they are the surprise package this season of the EFL Championship. Without a shadow of a doubt for me, we have a surprise package. Considering almost what happened on the final day of last season, we've come on leaps and bounds. We've had all that difficult stuff to deal with in the background, the transfer embargo, whatnot. We can only sign, I think it's loan signings and players under certain ages or something like that, like real young talents.
Free transfers and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, free transfers, free agents, sorry. We've nurtured those free transfers and agents. And look at them now. They're vying for an automatic promotion place in the championship. And yesterday's victory was just fantastic for them.
Yeah, I mean...
Fantastic. I mean, for all the world, it was going to be a draw. And then in the 92nd or 94th minute, they popped up. And on his debut, Lewis Kumas got the goal. Fantastic. And fantastic for Kumas as well. Coming in from Birmingham on one of the things. Just what a job all the staff have done at Hull City this season.
I want to quickly add on to this, Annie. I was just going to come to you in a second, actually, because I want to get the quote. Here's a couple of quotes from Sergei Yakarevich. I know I've got that wrong, but I'll always continue to be the guy who can't pronounce a name properly. But anyway, so I'll just blame it on my autism, to be honest. Anyway, but he said, "I think this is our biggest advantage, that we can play good on the ball even when we are bad on the ball. Like today, we were not good on the ball. But this is also a very demanding, tough pitch. It's not easy, and Blackburn are fighting for every point. But we now have stability and have found balance in our team tactically. We defended the box very well, because Blackburn are first in the league for a number of crosses inside, which was very important. Maybe some decisions in the last third we could have found better options, but this is how players see the situation, and I don't have a joystick there." Not only the fact is the last bit actually quite a funny quote, but like, does that not show that even in games that are tight and even when Hull aren't great, they've still found a way to win it, especially scoring late on?
Yeah.
Have you noticed their form recently? Look at the wins, right? You know, at the start of the season, we said, oh yeah, these guys are scoring loads of goals, but they're also conceding a lot. Look at their form recently.
They're starting to win 1-0 quite a bit, aren't they?
They are not conceding a lot, are they? It's ones and... ones. Pretty much all the games up and after the Middlesbrough game, it's all been ones at maximum, and they are not conceding many at all. clean sheet away at Borough, clean sheet away at Preston, clean sheet away at Blackburn, clean sheet against West Brom, one against Millwall. They are not.
I was going to say winning away at Millwall as well. Yeah, that's another one.
They are not.
That's a tough place.
Winning away, even though they're not great at the minute, winning away at Southampton,
Yeah.
a year one parachute team, winning 3-0 away at Preston, as you say, who's got a really good home record.
These guys are seriously good. I mean, look at their attack: McBurney, Gelhart, Millar, Hadzimitovic, and then off on the bench you've got Hirakawa, Kieran Dowell, Lewis Kumas, Carl Joseph, and then I think they've got injured Mohamed Baloumi, Joel Ndala wasn't in the squad. They have Matt Crooks is injured for a little while, but not the longest amount of time. Regan Slater, did he play? He did play. My bad. These guys have got some serious attacking quality, and if they can keep John Egan, who I think is being linked to the move away, don't know how true that is, but I saw a couple of rumours about that. Charlie Hughes is a brilliant centre back. Louis Coyle is captain, experience, sort of know-how in this division. Akin Fambo is a steady enough player. These guys have got some good players. Like Jakirovic is getting a tune out of them. If these January signings that they've made, and Toby Collier is one of them, can come in, make an impact, and sort of, I'm not saying they have to come in and sort of change everything and 5 new players have to come in and completely rip everything apart. Just add depth, just add where you can and make sure there's enough cover everywhere. You know, Paddy McNair, for example, is the perfect signing you want.
Yeah, I agree. That's a really good signing.
Because he's not gonna come in and just automatically start and displace one of Egan or Hughes. He's gonna be there. He's been in this division for, I don't know, a million years, Paddy McNair. I know he's not been there the last couple of seasons, but he knows this division like the back of his hand. And just having someone like that in the dressing room. I know Semi Ajayi isn't available at the moment, but someone like him in the dressing room as well, it's just so sort of, I think it's a really good squad Hull have got. And I think Jakirovic just milking everything out of it, and they are absolutely flying. And yeah, you've got, I'd say, 2 big surprises in Middlesbrough and Hull. In talking top 4 here, in Middlesbrough and Hull, you've got 2 big surprises. I'd say slightly less of a surprise as Coventry. I'm surprised they're top, but not as much of a surprise. And then Ipswich are 4th, obviously, and that's not a surprise at all. But isn't it just great to see Middlesbrough, Hull fighting out for a place in the top 2, and Coventry sort of holding a firm place down, who are, you know, not a parachute team, and in the distance you've got Ipswich. For the whole top half, you've only really got Ipswich as the one parachute team. You have to go all the way down to 14th to find another one in Southampton. Yeah. So, this top 2 races wide open, and one team definitely. I don't see Southampton getting into the top 2. We'll finish in the automatic promotion places that doesn't have parachute payments, which is brilliant. And if we're lucky, maybe even 2. And obviously that's not a slide.
Wouldn't it just be lovely? Sorry, Annie. Wouldn't it just be lovely if it was Hull City or Wrexham in that other playoff place? Wouldn't it just be nice? I'd probably say more so for Hull because of everything that we've had to overcome this season with the transfer embargo and all that, and only being able to sign free agents, free transfers, and getting a tune out of them can sometimes be a bit difficult. But the manager seems to have cracked it somehow. If he could bottle that winning formula and sell it, he'd be a very rich man.
I bet he would be. But bets on lottery then, put everything on Hull City. Actually, if you put Hull to get promoted, you get good odds for it probably, despite their league position.
Because I think last time we were in the Premiership, chaps, we came up via position number 2, and it was really tight on that final day as well. We were all crowded round the monitor, from what I can gather, and they got it right on the last kick of the ball. So it was really tight then, and it's really tight now. And I think we've been away, 10, 11 years, something like
It's
that.
9 years, and I know that because they went down when we went down under Moyes. It was us, Hull and Middlesbrough, funnily enough, actually. So it would be quite fitting in that regard if Middlesbrough and Hull both got promoted this season. But yes, another thing on Hull, before we quickly talk about Blackburn, listen to their fixtures in February. Right. Hull Watford, Hull Bristol City. Obviously, take out Hull Chelsea in the FA Cup, right? Hull QPR, Hull Derby, Portsmouth Hull. Have you noticed a pattern here in the Championship? Home, 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 away.
They're all home.
Their
And
next four Championship games or next 5 in all competitions, all at the AKM Stadium. So
yeah.
that's
And at home, they're fantastic. They're fantastic at home. They're fantastic away.
And another thing, that Tuesday, I believe, is their game in hand when they play Watford. I believe that fixture was called off I think it was at the back end of last year. So if they win that, and they're similar with Ipswich, to be fair, to some degree, but with Hull, if they win that, they're 2 points off the top two. 2 points off top. Okay, goal difference means they're effectively 3, but I mean, even so, that would still be a fantastic position. So we'll see how that ends up transpiring. I want to quickly ask Annie, what do you reckon about Blackburn here? Because the circus that is Blackburn Rovers.
Well, they have got Sheffield Wednesday at home in midweek, so they can climb out of the bottom 3 and put a certain West Bromwich Albion in the bottom 3.
That's a must win for Blackburn, surely, isn't it?
Yeah, they have to win that. I think you can't not beat Sheffield Wednesday at home this season. I'm afraid.
Sorry, can I stop you there? Blackburn go. We can hold my beer.
Can yeah.
To pull a Milton McCarthy quote there.
Look, I'm concerned for Rovers. I really am. They've one win in 15. One win in 15 championship games. Like, that is astoundingly bad. I think Val Ishmael this season he's doing an okay job. I wouldn't say he's doing. Not sure. It's sort of unbelievable. His hands are tied behind his back. Yes, I'll obviously agree to that. But surely there's more in the squad than where they are now and how they're playing at the moment. I mean, this is just god awful. This is rank form. Yeah, I'm concerned about Blackburn. I don't know about you guys, but I think they're in big trouble. Huge trouble. I think it's taken a little bit of time for me personally, anyway, to sort of come to terms with all the teams in the sort of big races. Top 2. You've got Middlesbrough, Coventry, Ipswich, Hull. I think that's probably going to be the 4. Give or take Hull, maybe.
And maybe slightly include Millwall as outsiders there.
Slightly, I think.
But that's probably as low as I was go.
Yeah. That's my maximum. And then you've got the playoffs, which is a big mess. I've not made my mind up on that. And for the longest time, I was like, oh, Blackburn are going to get relegated. That's Blackburn in the Championship. They won't get relegated. They'll be fine. They'll be mid-table. They'll be fine. And now I'm going... Same with West Brom. I'm going... These guys might... We've only got 16 games left, guys. Come on. Give me something. And, I'm concerned about Rovers. I'm really am.
I think another person who would probably feel a little bit vindicated right now is probably a certain John Eustace. Given the controversy of the decision to leave Blackburn when Blackburn and Derby were pretty much in opposite places in the table compared to where they all are now. So both are now. So yeah, that's going to be very, very. I imagine John Eustace might be. I don't think he'll be too. He won't be rubbing it in, I'd imagine, too much. But I think he'll be thinking, well, decision was vindicated to leave Blackburn Rovers. But I'm with you. I am starting to get a bit concerned about Blackburn. And I just think how frustrated, by the way, must Millwall be? Because that was who they beat in their last 15. You got Millwall going, well, lost to them. So
exactly. I mean, for me, lads, ever since the Venkies came into the club, when they were still in the Premier League, by the way, they've not done anything to, for me, in my eyes, improve the club on the pitch. Maybe improve the club in the background, within the community and things like that. But as in for on the pitch, for me, it's a big no, because you've just slid down the Championship division. I think when new owners come into a club, when they're in a certain league or whatever, we think, oh yeah, This will be a cakewalk. We'll come in, we'll splash the cash, we'll spend the money, we'll get the players to keep us in the division at first. Then we can improve year on year. But for Blackburn, sadly, it's just gone the other way. And if we're not careful, we could easily be playing League One. I'll repeat that, League One football next season.
Blackburn Rovers fans, I promise you, you do not want to subject yourself to that again. You don't. The league is absolutely... I do not like it.
Having seen your video, Michael, and you know the one because I watched it last week.
Was this the one that I played that you had a big laugh about? Yeah,
yes.
Also.
After we finished last week, I agree. You do not want to subject yourself to third-tier English football. It doesn't sound fun from your video, Michael. It
really wasn't. The novelty was fun for about 6 months. The novelty was fun for 6 months because we were not used to winning. But then quickly it realized, guys, this division is absolutely dog shit. Can we get promoted, please? But of course, Sunderland went, no, we don't fancy it. Okay, next year, no. Next year, no. Year afterwards, okay, fine. We'll finally go up. So, yeah. So it gets tedious after a while.
Because he's starting up again.
Yeah,
and
well.
Bear in mind that video was 2019. That was when Sunderland was in said League One. But I think if Blackburn going to League One, the owners need to ask themselves the question, do we still want to own the club? Do we still want to run the club? Or are we better cutting our losses and selling to somebody else who can make a go of it?
This is the thing, because I think there was a conversation about that a long time ago, but they just don't seem to want to do it, which is, that's the Venkies for you. And yeah, for context, for anyone, for the few people who are watching, basically I did a video after Sunderland, well, funny enough with Phil Parkinson, who I think Stephan's got a much higher opinion of than I do, even though I actually don't think he was, even though I don't think he was the worst manager for us in League One, actually, funny enough.
I'm laughing because I know what's coming here.
Yeah, absolutely. But all I'll say, hang on, I didn't even mean to do that. So let's go back onto this. Hang on, there we go. No, for context for Annie and for the people who are watching, basically, what was it, over 16.5 years ago, Sunderland under Phil Parkinson went to Gillingham, played for a point, didn't even try to win the game, and then we lost in the last minute. And I did a very big ranting video about it that Stephan found really funny. So, yeah, let's just say that and obviously Gillingham are in League Two, but that's like the equivalent of... Okay, it's great. I know it's a derby game, but it's different. I'm going to torture Annie here. It's basically the equivalent of Bristol City in the current state going to Bristol Rovers, set up negatively, pay for a point, and then lose at the very end, or lose. Yeah, exactly. So, although obviously that's worse because the derby. Oh, fine, we'll take Bristol Rovers out of it. We'll say Newport then. It's like Bristol City going to Newport, setting up defensively for a draw and losing in the last minute. Yeah, that's how shit it was. But anyway, long story short, yes, longer term with Blackburn. I mean, what can I say that I've not said before? The Venkies just simply need to bugger off, but they don't show any signs of wanting to do that. So we shall see. Hopefully for Blackburn fans, because I think their fans have suffered long enough, and I think they need to have a club to be proud of again.
And if I remember rightly, before they purchased Blackburn, the Venkies didn't really do sports. I'm sure they came from the food retail market in India, I think it is. And I'm sure their production was poultry and eggs before they came into football. So for me, that was a bit of a strange move. Coming out of a market you already know, going into a market you don't really know about, but you just want a football club because everybody else is doing it, and it seems to
just because why not, basically.
Yeah, it seems to be the done thing. So we'll purchase a football club. We won't improve it. We'll run it into the ground. We'll go into the third tier, and then hopefully we can cut our losses and we'll just fuck it off and leave it.
Pretty much. Right, let's get through some more of these games. Let's go. So this is amazing that we've gone nearly 45 minutes. We haven't even mentioned Ipswich Town yet, which is quite weird. But that's a testament to how good Hull in particular have done. So I thought they deserve. I think we can all agree. I think Hull deserved a bit of loving and a bit of their plaudits, really, because they've gone under the radar quite a lot, and I've been guilty of that. But Annie, Ipswich 1, Preston 1. I've got to give credit to Preston here, first and foremost, because I think it's at least 3 of the parachute payment teams they have beaten. They've beaten Ipswich, I believe, at Deepdale. Took 4 points off them, which is a really good effort. They've beaten Leicester, I think. Although, okay, Leicester, I think they beat Leicester. I'm sure they did. Leicester in the state. I know they beat Sheffield United from 2-0 down. Obviously, Sheffield United again, nowhere near where they would want to be. But I think Paul Heckham. It says a lot that Paul Heckambottom's
They've beaten
started
Southampton as well.
were the ones disappointed not to win in the end.
Yeah. They beat Southampton at St Mary's, didn't they? That was Will Still's last game.
Yes, of course they did.
Yeah,
Oh well, it was Will Still, yeah, but still,
Yeah.
no,
but still,
they deserve credit for it. Absolutely,
yeah,
they've been brilliant.
Yeah, they've been really good this season. Obviously, the form recently has tailed off quite a bit for North End, but yeah, they'll be disappointed, but easily. I think obviously Ipswich had a last-minute penalty, but they could have had another one right at the end. Ipswich, so I think Cedric Kipre, who's being sort of fouled or something. So yeah, a little bit fortunate potentially.
Yeah, because the penalty was controversial because as he took the penalty, Jack Clark, he slipped and it looked like he double touched the ball. But of course, because there's no a certain 3-letter word in the championship, they got awarded the goal from said double touch perspective penalty.
Yeah, it's hard to sort of decipher that in the championship because it happened so quick, doesn't it? So yeah, I have sympathy with the refs on the sort of double touch penalty, but
I couldn't initially see on the highlights until I actually showed you from another angle.
Yeah. In terms of the overall situation, that's a slip. That's a big slip for Ipswich. That's banana skin of a game. But they are at home. They are playing a Preston side who have been sort of battered in a few games recently, and they've ultimately not managed to win the game. So, and for all accounts, they were pretty rubbish for 70 minutes up until North End. North End scored. I mean, it was apparently very passive and very slow, very pedestrian, no sort of intensity or zip about by Ipswich. And they haven't been sort of at their fluid best all season, but they've been solid and they've got wins, loads of them, by the star quality they've got on their squad. And yesterday was just one of those days where they couldn't quite break down a very sturdy and rigid North End side. And again, the standard is such that at the top, if you get 1 point in 2 games, and Middlesbrough winning 5 in a row, and Hull on the march, I think 4 or 5 in a row as well, they are going to be costly slip ups. So yeah, it's a disappointing point, I suppose, for Ipswich. Frustrating they haven't gone and won that game. Addis Mehmeti got his full debut, which is positive, I suppose, and the fact that they don't have Marcelino Nunez because he's injured and Mehmeti can step in that number 10 position is now looking like a sensible enough signing from town. So I suppose for the longer term, it's not awful. You can have you can afford 1 or 2 sort of don't win in 3 sort of games, but can't afford too many of them. And Ipswich didn't have the greatest start either, did they? So
no, not really.
The margin for error isn't particularly there, but the standard isn't as high at the top of the league. It's not 2 points per game at the moment, so they're still well in it. And they've got midweek, haven't they?
Yeah, they've got the game in hand against Portsmouth on Tuesday night.
Yeah, so Pompey away, that will be tricky. That'll be really tricky. So I'll be interested to see how they navigate that. And Ipswich haven't been the best on the road this season either. So yeah, bit flat, bit disappointing from town. But if they can go and win at Pompey, I suppose this is kind of put to rest, isn't it?
The thing I would say from Ipswich's point of view is I'm looking at their games in February coming up. So Portsmouth away, Derby away, then Wrexham away. So first in the FA Cup, then the Championship, then Watford away. Their next home game is not till the 28th of February. It's kind of similar, but not similar to Coventry in the sense that they've got that their away form is the thing that's letting them down, I think. And we all know how good Ipswich's squad is on paper. and how they've still got Kieran McKenna, they've still got enough of the team that was with them in the Premier League. Obviously, I know Jaden Philogene injured at the minute, but they arguably have the best left-hand side in the league with Jaden Philogene and Jack Clark. So I'm good. I'll wait. I think it's similar with Coventry, I would say, or with Hull, sorry. But I'll wait and see how Ipswich are doing in a month's time when they've played. What's it, something like 4 away games? I think it's 4 Championship away games on the Spain. So, but I get the impression Tuesday for me they've got to. Although Pompey away is tricky, it's the game in hand. You need to win it really to try and do it. The thing that could be their saving grace as well, though, is the fact that the same weekend they're playing Wrexham in the FA Cup, Coventry and Borough play each other in the Championship. So. And if I'm right, I think Coventry still have to go to Hull, I think, as well. So, on those particular weekends, Ipswich have got to be winning. But, yeah, we'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes for Ipswich Town. Let me get the fixtures back up again, because I've kind of dwelled in Ipswich's fixtures. Yes, I know Ipswich got a point there on. But, yeah, quickly good for Jack Clark to get another penalty, to get another goal. I mean, I've said before, play Jack Clark in his position, Kieran McKenna, and look what happens. Funny that. But anyway, let's move on to the rest of the Championship fixtures. So let's go to the team in 5th. So, Stephan, we have Millwall 1, Sheffield United 1. Now, quickly, our thoughts go with, is it Sam McCallum? I believe he went off injured in this game. So hopefully he's okay. Hopefully he'll get him back on the pitch as quickly as possible.
I think I think Chris Wilder mentioned that's his season done, unfortunately.
No. Yeah. In which case, it's always gutting when you hear stuff like that. There was 2 goals in 2 minutes. Andre Brooks gave Sheffield United the lead after 17 minutes, and then Ivanovic equalised us in 2 minutes later for Millwall. I want to quickly mention with Millwall, because I want to mention 2 of the loan players they've just pretty much got over the weekend. So those who don't know, they have...
I wonder why.
Yeah, funny that. Yeah, they both played a pretty big part in Sunderland being where they are now in many ways. Millwall obviously signed Sunderland goalkeeper Anthony Patterson on loan till the end of the season, and Brighton winger Tommy Watson until the end of the season. Now, as these 2 will both know, and anyone who watched the playoffs last season will know that Anthony Patterson, and in particular Tommy Watson, had a big hand in the outcome of who ended up going up. I want to quickly give my say on this before I hand to you to talk about the game.
Patterson quite literally a big hand, yeah?
Yeah, well, twice. If you want to look at it that way. I still want to maintain that save he made in the first couple of minutes against Keith Moore is one of the most ridiculous saves I've ever seen. It is ridiculous. And also, the save he made against Andre Brooks, a couple of minutes before Mayenda scored. I think we've got to say that, look, for us, Robin Roofs, not making about Sunderland, but basically, Robin Roofs is an upgrade, but we wouldn't be where we are now without Anthony Patterson. Yeah, no. We wouldn't be where we are now without Anthony Patterson. I think he deserves a lot of credit. So Millwall, for me, have made a fantastic signing in Anthony Patterson. And he knows Alex Neil as well. So I think Alex Neil knows what he's doing. And Tommy Watson, I think if you can get him playing regularly and give him that, it suggests to me that Millwall are really wanting to go for it this year. And they've got the manager or the head coach rather to do it. They look like they're being ambitious. But as far as this game goes, Stephan, I wonder why Annie's pulling that face. We'll get on to why later.
You said ambitious. I know that word.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you could say, we'll not go into that at the moment. We'll not make Annie suffer too much yet. But Stephan, I'm guessing that you would think that for Millwall against Sheffield United, okay, Sheffield United year 2 parachute team, but still not doing how as good as they should be. Would Millwall see this as 2 points dropped?
Oh, most definitely, because we're right in the mix for a playoff place, as we know. Now, purely from a selfish point of view, just because of the points on the board at the moment, I was actually hoping for a Sheffield United win yesterday.
I bet you were.
And I was inches away. If Callum O'Hare's header had gone in the back of the net, I would have been totally cock-a-hoop, but sadly it just flew past the post. But no.
From your perspective, Stephan, sorry to interrupt, would you have took that before the weekend, though? Sheffield United getting a point at the Den with you lot winning?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought you might have done. Because the Den is a very difficult play. Me and Annie made a point about Millwall saying that if Millwall get in the playoffs, good luck to whoever's going to get them over 2 legs.
Especially if they finish 3rd or 4th, the second leg.
Second legs at the Den.
Because the Den has just been a fortress from Millwall this season for the Lions. It's been an absolute fortress. I mean, it was actually a really good game yesterday between Millwall and Sheffield United. Obviously, Brooks scoring first for Sheffield, but then 2 minutes later, I'm going to
Sheffield United.
for Sheffield United. But yeah, I'm totally going to butcher this name of somebody Veg. I'll just say that popping up for Millwall 2 minutes later with a rather fortunate sort of tap-in of the posty type goal, and then in the second half,
I'll pronounce it for you, by the way. Mihailo
Thank you.
Ivanovic. So if that's wrong, you can blame
there we
me.
go. There we
But
go.
yeah, just call him
That'll do.
Ivanovic.
No, that'll do. We'll go with Ivanovic. But then in the second half, Sheffield had the chance of the game to win it with Callum O'Hare just inches away from scoring a rather wonderful header which went past the post. But I think, all in all, Sheffield would be incredibly happy with that point, especially going away to the Den and not coming away with a defeat. I think Millwall and Alex Neil will definitely see it as 2 points dropped in their push for a playoff / automatic promotion spot. But I'm sure Millwall will pick themselves up and go again next week.
Andy, can I ask you about Sheffield United? Well, I mean, about both teams if you want to talk about both, but particularly Sheffield United, because I'm struggling to get a handle on them at the minute, because I still think everyone knows, again, my thoughts on Chris Wilder, but putting it aside, I said I wouldn't be shocked. I know, funny that. But I said I wouldn't be shocked, and I still kind of wouldn't be if Sheffield United start to maybe surge up a little bit to make a run to the playoffs. But I'm thinking now, was it 11 points off? It's mathematically possible, but it's gonna take a hell of a run for them to do it.
Yeah,
are they going to be at risk of their season kind of just going into meh? Like kind of, I mean, given how they started, they probably would have taken that, but it's still not been a success for Sheffield United, even if they finish mid-table, has it?
No, definitely not. Yeah, I'm with you. I can't really get a read on them. I think this is a good point in isolation.
Yeah, I think so. In isolation, it's a very good point.
I think it's a good point. Millwall away, yeah, Den hard place to go, etc., whatever. So yeah, I can't really get a read on United at the minute, which is a bit strange. But no, I think they've some good players. I think this feels like a big summer coming up for Sheffield United because almost certainly Gus Harmer's going to leave. But we've said that for like 2 windows running now, so God knows what's going to happen.
The difference is now they won't have parachute payments though next season.
Yep, that particular time clock has run down. I suppose with Harmer, it's the
injury thing that might keep him there, though, isn't it?
Yeah. It's the injury concerns. But yeah, it feels like a big sort of window next summer coming up for United. Can't quite get a read on them. No, but I think in isolation for Millwall, it's not the worst point ever either. Year 2 parachute team at home, you go 1-0 down, you respond quickly. Okay, you can't quite find the winner, but they've had a pretty decent good run, recently. I said recently twice, didn't I?
I repeat myself all the time. It's fine.
They've got a 6-point buffer on to 7th, which is pretty nice. Nice if you can have it. And I suppose, yeah, okay. The point differential to the second would be a little bit larger, but I'm not sure they're particularly looking at that with a hell of a lot of initiative. I'm sure they'd like to finish in 3rd or 4th because that's when I think we've said if you really want to have ambitions of getting promoted and you finish in the playoffs, it's got to be through 3rd place or 4th place. But no, I think it's not a bad point for either side, to be honest.
I'm trying to look at Gustavo Hamer's contract with Sheffield United when it runs out because it's an interesting point, but obviously transfer markets being a tit and basically just taking ages to load. So I will probably have a look at that later and probably find out later. On Sheffield United's fixtures, I was just looking at their fixtures in February. So 4 of their next 6. No, sorry. 4 of their next 6 are at Bramall Lane. So I'm looking at a couple of them, and straight away, there's 2 here that stand out to me as games they have to be winning. Let's just assume for a second that their ambition still is to get into the playoffs. They've got Oxford at home on Tuesday, must win, absolute must win. Middlesbrough at home after that, tricky, but at Bramall Lane, you never know. Portsmouth away, tricky. obviously. But again, if Sheffield United want to try and make a push for it, they need to be winning that. Then, of course, you've got on Sunday, 22nd of February, the second Steel City derby of the season. And I would say Sheffield Wednesday, as much as obviously I've got a lot of respect for them as a club, are even weaker than the last time they played each other. So that has to be a win at all costs. Coventry at home, given Coventry's away form, you never know how that one will go. And of course, QPR away. But yeah, it's like I said, even if it is mid-table, I think we can all agree it has not been a success. All right, here we go. Gustavo Heimer's contract expires at the end of next season. So there's going to be a question mark to be had there, because with his injury record, is it worth getting him to sign a new deal, given how much he may or may not be fit? Because when he is fit, he's very influential, I think. But the problem is that's not often enough for me. So there'll be a question mark there to be had in the summer, which it looks quite likely they'll still be in the Championship. They'll have too much to avoid going down, and the fact I'm saying that about them is quite laughable, really, because that should never have been the ambition, but given the start they had. But yeah, we'll one way or another we will see. But yeah, it's still not been good either way. But yeah, on isolation, I agree with Annie. That is a very good point, and it's not the worst point in the world for Millwall either. So let's move on to which game shall we go to next? Let's go to the Bet365. Stoke City. So Stephan, Stoke City 0, Southampton 2. We've got Finn Azaz and Flynn Downs. Ended up, so I guess you could say 2 poor goals from Stoke's point of view to concede, but from Southampton's point of view, don't think they'll care too much. I think, again, similar to Sheffield United, though, I think Southampton have to be, for me, to make it a season of remote success, they have to be finishing in the top 6. Now, the gap between themselves and Wrexham, of course, who are 6th, is 7 points. I know that you will be hoping that gap doesn't decrease. If anything, it gets bigger, but nevertheless, that's a good win for them away at Stoke, I think.
Oh, most definitely. But and bear in mind as well that Southampton are a parachute team. Now, at the start of the season, they were nowhere under their management team at the start of the season.
Will Still.
Yes, Mr. Still. They changed manager, and this manager seems to be getting a slight tune, not a big one, but a slight tune out of Southampton, to the point where they're actually picking up wins at places that you would have thought at the start of the season we would have easily come away with a defeat. And I think, and it pains me to say this, but if Southampton can go on a run of 2, 3, 4 games without losing and winning the majority, then they could make a push for the top 6. And as you say, Michael, they really need to. Otherwise, their season's just going to be a meh season.
And Andy, I want to get your thoughts on Stoke. Again, this is kind of another team that I'm like Sheffield United. I'm struggling because Mark Robbins, don't get me wrong, has done brilliant compared to what they've had to put up with since they've got into the Championship. This has easily been Stoke's best season in terms of actually somewhat competing for promotion. And they had a brilliant start. Then they've kind of tailed off a little bit, but they're also still within the mix. What handle do you make of that?
I think Stoke have got a lot of injury problems. They've got Victor Janssen out. They signed Gavin Bazunu as a replacement. He's also injured. They've got
injuries in Stoke.
They've got Mabama out. They've got Manhurf out. They've got Bosnick out. They've got a lot of injuries, Stoke, unfortunately. I think Junior Shamado is also injured, which is also a big blow. They create chances, don't they, Stoke? And they just can't quite. Yeah. There was a spell where we said, they create chances, they can't quite take it. And they've signed Milan Schmidt from over in the Netherlands for quite a big fee, actually. So whether he can make an impact, we'll see. But I actually think Stoke are a good team. And I think they've got a really good manager. If they can stay in the hunt, and if they can get those injured players back, particularly Manhurf, Johansson, I think potentially Lewis Baker's injured as well. Possibly. He's not in the match. He wasn't in the match they scored against Southampton. So if they can get those players back, they're going to go back they're going to be closer to what they were at the start of the season, where they were sort of in the playoffs, and we thought, these guys might be, top 6 worthy here. So, yeah, they're back. They're 12th at the moment. They're not far off, and I just think if once those players come back, they're going to be fine. And I think they might start moving up the table again. So, watch this space with Stoke. I suppose it might be a case of too little, too late as to when those players come back. But when those players do come back, don't be surprised if they go and win 3 in a row or something like that. 4 wins in 5, because I do think that's how much of an impact those players will make, and that's how much they're missing at the moment. And you can't really do anything about that, can you? Where you just lose 2 or 3 of your most influential players and your captain included in that, and Johansson. And how's your luck? Yeah, lose a goalkeeper, sign a goalkeeper for, I'm presuming, quite a little bit of loan fees and stuff from Southampton, and then he goes and gets injured after 1 game or 1 or 2 games. It's just really bad luck for Stoke. But yeah, I'm kind of optimistic for them, which might be weird because their form isn't good at all over sort of a longer term. But I do think they're a good team, and yeah, I'll say it again. Those players that are injured, they are making a huge impact at the moment, and they might be the team, maybe alongside Blackburn, who are just missing so many sort of key players and really not really hindering as a result.
I think speaking of I think, Bo, you are right. I think that with all the things you've just said, there is context behind the form, at least some context behind it. So I think there could be something for Stoke fans to get behind, really, in that regard. And hopefully that the season doesn't peter out. By the time those players do come back, hopefully the season isn't effectively over for them. One way or another, we'll see. Let's go to one of the other 12:30 games. So yeah, now I really wish Ant was here for this, because this would have been even funnier. But you can probably guess by the way I've said that which game we're going to cover next. Leicester City 0, Charlton Athletic 2. Is it kind of weird, this result? Okay, give the context that Caleb Okole got sent off after 15 minutes for a last man challenge, basically, or a wrong challenge, I should say. But is it bad that this result, regardless of that, and he does not surprise me very much, given Leicester, despite Charlton's form on the road?
Just quickly on Charlton, that's another game where they've played against not 11 men. It's a bit fortunate, but I suppose you take your luck as it comes, and they've won it, and they've won it a little more convincingly than they did against Sheffield United, but arguably a worse team. Leicester, certainly a team with less confidence than Leicester, playing playing worse than Sheffield United at the minute. So that was good from Charlton, good away win that. But yeah, and also good for them to have Connor Cody in. He played as a holding midfielder, I think, Connor Cody, in this one. I think he
Connor Cody.
I think he played as
a...
Remembered how much Ant really doesn't like him. This is actually quite funny.
Connor Cody's not a holding midfielder, not a chance.
Well.
He done well yesterday. I say that. He done well. But traditionally, Connor Cody plays as a centre-back.
Yes. Don't know. Maybe Nathan Jones has got something up his sleeve. But yeah, that's a cracking win for Charlton. I think we can't really... What can we say about Leicester? What more can you say? They're 9 points
Andy
above
King?
the red. Bristol City legend, Andy King.
Yeah.
they're 9 points above the drop zone at the minute. I suppose we're all waiting for what seems like a little bit of an inevitable
internal inevitability about the points deduction.
Yeah, and when the hell is that going to come through and stuff like that? Yeah. But you can't. I don't have much more to say about Leicester. That group of players, those group of players should be higher than where they are, and they're not, and they're toiling and struggling a lot when they shouldn't be. But quality and talent isn't everything. You've got to match that with
group of individuals rather than team. Is that fair?
Yeah, we said that about when they.
Yeah, I've lost count the amount of times I've said that, but
yeah,
still rings true.
Yeah, I think we all agreed on that point when Cifuentes was here. So big concerns for Leicester, and just a bit of a depressing football club that at the minute.
Can you imagine if you told Ant 10 years ago when Leicester won the Premier League, oh, by the way, in 10 years' time, you might be going to play Cambridge United, for example. I don't know if Cambridge... Actually, no, Cambridge aren't in League One, are they? Okay, let's say you're going to play Rotherham United.
City.
Sorry.
Lincoln City, Cardiff.
Well, I don't know. I think Lincoln
Lincoln
could maybe swap places with Leicester.
Well,
Lincoln might be.
Yeah, but okay, Bradford, Plymouth Argyle.
Okay, got one. Barnsley. Let's see if Leicester were playing Barnsley in League One.
Mansfield.
In 10 years' time, when they've just won the Premier League. Oh, God, I can imagine Ant's reaction if you said that to him then. I suppose the funniest thing for me about yesterday, given how much that Ant really likes Connor Cody, and Connor Cody did one over on Leicester yesterday. So I did find that quite amusing. But, say, it's a beautiful day. I hope Connor Cody's feeling the same, the prick, as he said to us in a private group chat. Oh, I wish I'd played that now. But anyway, yeah. I pretty much agree. I think for Charlton, obviously, we still have the concerns that the two of the wins they've got recently are against 9 men Sheffield United and 10 men Leicester. But Leicester are a shambles, and even 11v11, I wouldn't have been shocked if Charlton had won this game, to be honest, given everything that's gone on. Let's see how Andy King gets on. Bristol City and Leicester legend Andy King is interim at the King Power. So, oh God, what time to be a Leicester fan, I suppose. Let's move on. Let's see. I think we've got a few games left, so we'll try to speed this along a little bit. The next one let's go to the Kassam. Stephan, Oxford 0, Birmingham 2. I mean, we'll put it this way. Again, if you want, and I always make the joke about XG hipsters and stuff like that, but the XG suggests this was a game low on quality chances. 0.46 for Oxford, 0.8 for Birmingham. Yeah, Birmingham win 2-0.
I mean, great result for Birmingham, although they probably would have seen this as a bit of a away banker, pardon the pun, just because of the places in the table between themselves and Oxford.
If they were looking at top 6, they had to win yesterday,
yes.
really.
And they won 2-0 in the end, albeit rather comfortably, to be honest. I didn't think that Oxford put up much of a fight. Yes, you do have the incredulous Mr. Matt Bloomfield in charge. His only objective is to keep him in the division, but if you can't win at your home ground, albeit against multi-million pound spending Birmingham, then it's looking rather tricky.
And Andy, what do you make for Oxford with Matt Bloomfield being there? I mean, it kind of strikes as squads probably not championship quality, is more higher end League One ability, but are they going to have enough in? I mean, I suppose could this new manager bounce work the same way Gary Rowett did, even if Rowett arguably had a stronger squad to work with last year?
No, I think Oxford have a better squad now than they had last season. I think that's probably a fair assumption to make, but how much better? And you can say Oxford have a better squad, but we can also say two teams coming up from League One automatically have better squads because they have more money. And Charlton had a great start to the season, and
Nathan Jones as manager.
And you've seen significant improvements from Stoke, Derby. Pompey is sort of still in the mix, but I suppose regressions from Blackburn and West Brom. But and obviously Sheffield Wednesday are occupying one place. But yeah, it always felt like this is going to be a tricky season for Oxford to navigate, and the squad is sort of neither here or there. That I don't really know what to kind of make of it. I think their January business has been quite good, actually. I like Christ Makoso. I think he's a great centre back. Obviously, the Matt Bluefield link there from Luton. I think Jamie McDonald's quite impressive. Obviously, been at League One level with Mansfield and been really, really good there. Jamie Donnelly, the same thing, really good at Lincoln. So I actually think their business this window has not been half bad. But you've got to make an impact now. And Bloomfield has won one game at Leicester. Again, beleaguered Leicester. Martin Fuentes' last game. But hasn't won any of his home games. Drew 0-0 against Bristol City. Drew 0-0 against QPR. Lost 2-0 against Birmingham. Not scored a goal at home yet, which is not going to sort of please the home fans. So, yeah, Oxford, if they're going to survive the season, I suppose with the trend in the division, you've got to be good at home. But yeah, I suppose the ground to make up for Oxford is quite a bit, and considering not many teams near the bottom win games, any point differential to make up is going to be tricky.
Especially when you consider that let's say you have Sheffield United. Let's say even if Leicester get a point deduction in there, as Leicester being Leicester, you wouldn't expect Leicester to. Well, on paper you wouldn't expect Leicester to get relegated, but as Ant would probably say, this Leicester would like to defy that quite considerably. But you had West Brom, Norwich, Portsmouth now with Fratton Park, Sheffield United. Okay, Charlton, you kind of expect to be down there, but Nathan Jones, I think there's a lot of siege mentality there. Yeah, maybe I still stand by that. I felt Rowett was their best chance of stopping up, but even then, it wasn't great under Rowett, I suppose. So that's always the comparison. There's always a fair caveat to make. Next one, right? So we've got 4 more games left, including 3 that Annie probably will want to talk about, and 1
So we've got 3 more games left, everyone.
Oh, okay, right. Okay, so next then, Bristol City 0, Derby County 5.
We've now got 3 games left, everyone.
Pretty much, yeah. Okay. Well, speaking of clubs that could be concerned about, I can imagine that Eric Ramsey's going to be a bit concerned, Stephan. Yeah. Ramsey might be a bit worried here.
Where did West Brom find Eric Ramsey, guys?
Sorry?
Where did they find this manager? Where did they actually come from?
Minnesota United over in the MLS. Yeah.
Oh, God.
So,
look,
Portsmouth 3, West Bromwich Albion 0.
Can I take the reins on this one, if you don't mind?
Yeah, go for it.
No.
If Stephan doesn't mind, I'm happy for that.
No, I don't mind.
That second West Brom goal. Sorry. It sounded like I was getting emotional. I'm not, don't worry. That second Pompey goal. Sorry. Yes, you're right.
I have a feeling I get why you're going to mention this. Go on.
This second Pompey goal. No, not. Yes, it's a goalkeeping error from Max. Yes, yes. Just look at the build-up before that to put Milanic Ali through. There is no organisation. There is no sort of belief. There is just nothing within this. There's no character in this Albion team. And it looks like they're going to add a youngster on loan from Villa on deadline day. They're not going to add a lot. And Eric Ramsey's just going to be like, get on with it. That's basically what they've told Eric Ramsey. And John Percy from... can't remember. Does he work for the Telegraph or the Athletic? Can't remember. Telegraph, I think. Anyway, John Percy, well-renowned Midlands reporter, came out with quite an interesting sort of damning piece today, and there was news of certain West Brom sort of hierarchy individual. What's his name? Andrew Nestor, considering his future because he's unhappy with the sort of squad strategy and manager hires and manager recruitment processes. That's a big figure at the football club, not impressed with something. So I think West Brom are a mess. I think West Brom have got a good squad. I think West Brom have got some good championship players. If you were to ask me what is Eric Ramsey now trying to implement as a style of play,
would you have better luck trying to guess next week's lottery numbers?
Yeah, probably. And certainly doesn't help when Isaac Price, who's been pretty shocking for a number of weeks and months now, decides to go over to the West Brom fans, obviously claps, and then decides to sort of square up to the whole away end. It's bizarre behaviour. And it just feels like everything's disconnected. And they could easily drop into the bottom 3 after if Blackburn go and beat Sheffield Wednesday on Tuesday. So, yeah, we could see Albion in the bottom 3. And the January signings that they've made, so remind me. So they've signed Max O'Leary. They've signed Danny Limray. That's 2 signings they've made this window. Both, so Dan Imray on a loan deal. I think he's a good player, Dan Imray, but he was hooked at half-time against Pompey. That looked pretty damning from him. And obviously Max O'Leary has made one mistake. Obviously a huge clanger against Derby, and then sort of let one in under his legs against Pompey. So yeah, this is going fantastically for West Brom, isn't it? New managers come in and he's made an impact. To be fair, they're conceding a lot more goals.
Yeah, you're right. He's making a positive impact for every opponent West Brom playing.
Exactly. And my worry is, chaps, if they go into the bottom 3 we're not going to come out.
Yeah, that's you know the thing we say about Leicester, and if
I was
they
just about to mention that, like psychologically, that's really going to test West Brom's players and wondering have they got the stomach for it.
yeah,
Well,
because
based off yesterday, they don't.
No, we don't.
remember this West Brom team last season were right in a conversation for the playoffs, right? And we sort of expected that because that's the quality that we sort of
And
saw.
Carlos Colbrand was there as well.
Corbrand left, Mowbray came in, and then the results just completely fell off. Like, okay, most of that was probably down to Mowbray, but some of it's got to be down to the players as well, because those players should not have been losing half the games that they were taking part in. And
Yeah.
the mentality issue, the collapse from last season hasn't probably helped either. The sort of complete fall off they had, and this is a huge concern. If Eric Ramsey doesn't turn things around soon, this is going to be a horrible ending for Albion. And imagine that. Imagine West Brom in League One. That'd be crazy.
If
Well,
he doesn't turn
creative
things
one
around
for it.
soon, he's going to be out the door.
He won't last the season if this continues.
Not a chance.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the squad here, though, right? So you're looking at Heggybo, Mickey Johnson. Okay, some of these came off the bench, obviously, but Jed Wallace, Isaac Price, Imre, Diakite, Jason Malumbi, Ilan Jr., Chris Meffam, who, by the way, just for context, Chris Meffam was starting ahead of Dan Ballard for Sunderland last season until the playoffs. And then you look at what's happened with Dan Ballard now. That was how good Chris Meffam in German was for Sunderland. So, with him being in West Brom's defence, along with Nat Phillips, and obviously like Max O'Leary in goal as well, this squad should not be down where it is. So something is obvious. So again, Captain Obvious, but something is obviously fundamentally really wrong for this to be going as bad as it is. And on Max O'Leary, and I remember saying this to Annie actually, not less than 18 months ago, when Sunderland, I think we drew 0-0 against each other, and if you remember, and we basically peppered Bristol City's goal, and Max O'Leary was fantastic that day. And I'm looking at that, I'm going, is this the same Max O'Leary here? Because I don't know what on earth has gone on.
Michael, do you remember was it that same season? Yeah, it was that same season. We beat you 1-0 at our place, and you battered us for 90 minutes, and we won 1-0. And Max was brilliant in that as well. So I think he just loves playing with Sunderland.
So basically what West Brom need is they need us to go back down again every week, and then he's absolutely amazing.
Just getting his confidence back, right?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Well, you never know. If West Brom play us in the FA Cup, then Max O'Leary starts to be like, oh, here we go, he's going to turn into Superman. But there you go. But I just can't believe it. Like, I'm thinking, is this the same Max O'Leary here? Like, for Bristol City, I was one of the top goalkeepers in the Championship before well, maybe not this season, but I mean, like, a couple of years, that same season.
Look, last season was Max played 48 games, including the playoffs, right? And the cup games as well. I think one of the cup games. I would say he was probably a steady goalkeeper at Championship level. He's steady. I wouldn't say one of the top.
Okay, so it's just against us. He's one of the top then. Never mind.
There's a reason. There's sort of very little argument over, well, for me anyway, whether Radek Vitek starts over him, over Max, and it's been a sort of blessing in disguise that Max got injured. Obviously, don't mean any harm on Max. Obviously, that's
no, but I know what you mean.
But Vitek, we signed Vitek as a result of that, and we've upgraded significantly. Like, I think Max is a steady gap Championship goalkeeper. He is mistake prone, unfortunately. So, remember QPR at home last season, where Paul Smith scored from the halfway line, and Max came out and completely missed it. And so, yeah, I think it's a steady Championship goalkeeper, nothing more than that. But
if that's the case, then if he would have been second choice keeper, does that say quite a bit for West Brom then?
Yeah, I think it does. I think it does.
So, yeah. But quickly, lads, I quickly want to mention Portsmouth here, though. Obviously, for Portsmouth, it's been a difficult season certainly compared to last year. I mean, obviously, I knew that, I didn't expect Portsmouth to be right near the top, but obviously, I don't think their fans would have wanted to be, 20th in the Championship at the minute. But, and I'll let Stephan take this bit, actually. We've got to mention that's a crucial victory for them because it takes them above West Brom and it takes them 4 points above the bottom three with a game in hand as well, albeit it is against Ipswich.
Look at their form, by the way, recently.
Let's have a quick check of this. Sorry, Stephan, go for it.
They needed that yesterday. They needed that because their whole season for me until yesterday was on a bit of a life support system, let's just say. Because it could have went either one or two ways yesterday. They lost, and they stayed where they are, or they won and they started to climb. And thank God that they started to climb, because you can't see, mind you, you can't really see West Brom as a League One team, but let alone Portsmouth. I mean, think back to the glory days of 2007, 2008 when they won the FA Cup and they were in Europe because of that. And I think Portsmouth, like a lot of the teams in the Championship this season, will be thinking, oh, we've been in it too long, we need to try and get back up. But to do that, if you're down the bottom, you've got to start somewhere. And I think yesterday could be the turning block to save their Championship skin.
And to quickly bounce on what Annie was saying about Portsmouth form, I've just literally looked. So if I'm right, it's one defeat in their last 9 Championship games, which, funny enough, was a 5-0 defeat to Bristol City, as we sort of talk. That's where Annie's going to go back when we had some decent players there.
I think John Mousinho's done a cracking job over the last little set of games for Pompey and Portsmouth.
And I would say as well, they've got a 1-1 draw. Okay, obviously Javi Garcia, we'll talk about him in a minute, but he was obviously a 1-1 away at Javi Garcia's Watford, 1-1 draw in the South Coast derby with their rivals who have a much bigger budget than them, and they've won 2 6-pointers, I would say, in Sheffield Wednesday and West Brom.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And if they can keep this sort of momentum going and keep getting the fans on side, especially with the couple of new signings featured yesterday, and Adam and Ali, those guys look really good as well.
Certainly so. Right, let's get on to these. So we've got 3 games left, or as Annie will try to say, we've got 2 games left, but really we have 3. So let's go. So in terms of changing head coaches, let's go to the kings of doing this, which is Watford. I mean, I guess this game kind of isn't. I mean, obviously for Swansea, it's very important. But I'll go to Annie on this one. I think it's important for Swansea, but it's kind of overshadowed now by the fact that Javi Garcia has resigned, left, whatever term you want to use.
This felt a bit weird because I'd say Watford have got a good team. I've said that pretty much all season. Maintain that, and what was I going to say? Javi Garcia after the game obviously does his post-match pressers and stuff like that, and the reports I was hearing from those Watford fans and the Watford media outlets was he came across as a bit he fell on my chair, came across a bit didn't feel like he was up for it, felt like, and he said, gonna have to have conversations with the Pozzos and stuff like that, and it's a bit weird because Watford's form recently has not been good. They've drawn against Blackburn and Pompey, and they shouldn't have been doing that. I think if they have real ambitions to get in the playoffs, they should probably be winning those games. Obviously lost home where they've been pretty good all season. Watford against Swansea and against Millwall, which is a little bit more excusable, I suppose, against Millwall. But yeah, just a bit weird how it's all unravelled quite quickly. Where initially we thought Javi Garcia, really popular at Watford, really popular within the fans. Watford sort of acknowledging their mistake and sacking him. So sort of like how many years ago is it now? 6 years ago, something like that. And bring him back. Clearly a good coach, and it just hasn't worked. And just felt a bit weird. I don't think you can blame this on Watford, on the Pozzos, to be honest. I think they've probably got it wrong in terms of hiring the wrong manager, and it'll be interesting to see where they go from here, because I think they've got a really good squad, some really good attacking players, but it'll be interesting to see how they pivot from here. I'm surprised how quickly it's sort of twisted against Javi Garcia, because I think he's a good manager, but yeah, clearly something didn't align over there. But yeah, for Swansea, great win, and Vitor Matos has got them flying, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's pretty much said we felt the away performances were going in the right direction, and the mentality was, and it was going in the right direction. So that's going to be huge for Swansea. see if they can start rising up the league. Right, let's go to the last two games. So let's start with Stephan.
I'm just going to go to the toilet, so I'll be back. While
Oh,
Stephan
how
goes back.
convenient!
No, I'll be back for the City game. Don't worry.
Oh, okay then. All right then, we shall see. All right then. Right, Stephan. Sheffield Wednesday 0, Wrexham 1. I think some of it obviously has to be the caveat. Of course, it was Sheffield Wednesday you were playing, but nevertheless, you've got to win it. You've got to go out and win it. Obviously, you didn't win the reverse fixture, so you've got to go out and earn it. So obviously, Sam Smith, of course, is the match winner, and it gets Wrexham back into the playoffs because, of course, Derby moved in there Friday night before you played, and now, of course, you're back in 6th. So take me away. Sheffield Wednesday 0, Wrexham 1.
All right. Well, as you said, Michael, these are the games you got to go and win. Even though Sheffield Wednesday is all but down, you've still got to go and win the game. You've still got to play it.
Still got to do the job.
Yeah, exactly. And on the hour mark, Sam Smith popped up and won the game with a rather nice cross and a low cross along the box, and he got in the end of it. Unfortunately, I couldn't watch the game because I was doing the Saturday Show podcast with Reese, so I was on here at times, so I couldn't multitask and watch the game at the same time. But of course, taking nothing away from Sheffield Wednesday because they did try. They kept the score respectable to a 1-0. But it's these types of games that can define a season. And I think we've just defined it for Addy because in much happier news after winning the game yesterday, Wrexham have just signed Zach wasn't the comments.
Zach Weidner, wasn't it?
Zach Weidner from Bristol City, which made Annie quite upset, but
he comes back just as you mention him.
like I say,
Annie, you could not have timed that any worse.
Like I say, these are the games you got to win. Even though we've loaned Connor Cody to Charlton for the rest of the season, it looks like, barring some kind of fall from grace, that Wrexham's going to be in the playoff picture. Can they push for automatic? No.
I think it's a stretch.
No,
I mean, mathematically, yes, but it's a stretch, I think.
Mathematically, yes, but mentally and physically, I don't think so. Bear in mind, this is their first season in the second tier since, what, the 70s? Or early 80s, something like that. So it's going to be a stretch. I think the season's gone pretty well, all things considering, and that stupid Opta computer can go and burn itself in a fire because it only gave us a 0.2% chance of staying in the division at the start of the season. So you can imagine why Wrexham fans are on a bit of a cloud nine for the last couple of weeks. Especially when we thought, QPR's going to beat us, and we popped up with 2 goals and injury time to win the game. And our fixtures look favourable, that's all I'm going to say, especially if it's Stoke Kairaz. All I'm going to say is bring on Millwall, and I know around sort of the second week in February, bring on the Bristol.
Is there a certain game at Ashton Gate that you're talking about?
Bristol? Yeah. Doesn't ring any bells. No, sorry. Sorry.
Could you imagine if Zach Weidner comes on in that game?
He's not fit. He's not
There's
fit.
a sterling job at the back. He might not
injured.
be fit now.
Is that you
He's
saying he
injured.
definitely isn't fit, Andy? Or was that you
No,
trying to
no,
manifest him not
no,
being fit?
definitely isn't fit. He's out for. He came off injured against our game against Ipswich and hasn't been available since. So, yeah, no. Zach Viner won't do the. I'm injured. You know that I'm injured tactic. He won't do that again. He not for
All
us.
right, yeah.
So he's
Well,
definitely injured.
If you see he's as injured as he claims to be, why would Wrexham have just said so?
To be fair, you can't sign. You can't. Ross Stewart, for example, signed for Southampton when injured.
I know you can sign injured players, but if he's as injured as Annie makes out he is, I'm sure Wrexham wouldn't have touched him before.
He's not injured. He's not injured for a long time, for a longer term. He's only injured for a few weeks. But
I was going to say, long enough to miss the game.
Yeah, long enough to. I think probably end of Feb at the latest is when he's going to be available. Probably just a little bit before that, but.
And he hopes it's going to be the end of February.
If Zach Viner comes on against us or plays against us in any form of any capacity, I will literally be hiding under that bed and hoping he doesn't ping one in from 30 yards out, something stupid like that. Pops up with a header, something stupid.
But no, I mean, all credit to Parky and the coaching staff for the job they've done this season as well. It's been, I know you had your rant 6 years ago, Gillingham or wherever it was. You didn't want to see him again.
No, he's done a good job. He's done a very good job. I'm not going to take that away from him.
I think he's found a club where he's finally been accepted by the owners, the fans. They've backed him from coming up in the National League right through to now, and they still continue to back him. So he's still able to get a tune out of the players. And I should say that Matty James had a brilliant defensive clearance off the line. Otherwise, it would have been a 1-0 draw yesterday.
Don't even ask Adam what is there.
Thank God for his right foot.
God knows how they signed that. Yeah.
Do you know what, to be fair? I think Parky, I'll actually, to be fair, I have stuck up for Parky quite a lot, actually, because I think a lot of people went down the, oh, well, it's easy with the money that you've got root. Oh, they should be getting promoted. That's a load of bullshit, because if that was the case, for example, we would have only spent 1 year in League One as opposed to 4. It means nothing if the setup isn't right. So you have to go out and do it. And if anything, with the extra money comes more expectation for you to deliver. And that brings a different kind of pressure. So I think from Parky's point of view at Sunderland, I think it was taking over Sunderland in League One was a very hard sell at the time. Because obviously because of the expectation of the club of our size being in that division and everything else, but you don't want to hear me rant about that. But to go from, what was it? Promotion, and then if you finish in the playoffs,
back to back, basically, he's done.
Yeah. And let's say if this season ends really, really well, imagine if it was back to back to back to back. But I mean, whether Wrexham will go this season or not, I don't know. But
not a chance of back.
Well, what I'll say, okay, Stephan, I'll put it on your head. If you finish, say, 6th right now at the end of the season, that's a success in my eyes for Wrexham this season.
Yeah.
A huge success. I would even go as far as say I think top half would have been a decent achievement for the first year in the Championship, because I think obviously what's helped is the fact that it's because I think when you say about being on cloud 9, when you said we've been on cloud 9 the last few weeks, I would say you've probably been on cloud 9 for probably the last 4 years. Probably given.
Well, if you include all the promotions, yeah, you're right. Of course we are.
You include all the promotions. We only got promoted. Oh, we only won. We only got from League 2. Oh, we only finished 2nd in League 1. You know.
But let's be honest. All we wanted to do this year in the Championship was consolidate, was to be safe.
Was it to do this to the supercomputer?
Yeah, exactly. We've done that and then some. And this season has just been a rip-roaring success. The boys have finally started to gel in the Championship. We've got used to the pace of the league. They're starting to win. But of course, take nothing away from our former talisman, Paul Mullen, who's now on loan at Bradford City.
Great move for him. great move for Paul Muller.
Indeed.
But yeah, so I think with Wrexham, put it this way, like me and Annie said before about Millwall in the playoffs for the home leg at the Den. Okay, Wrexham getting the playoffs.
You
If
don't want to
Wrexham
come
getting the
to the
playoffs,
race course, by the way.
well, that's what I was going to say. If Wrexham getting the race course, that makes no sense. If Wrexham getting the playoffs, then I'd love to see the atmosphere in the playoff home leg at the race course, even if it's the first leg. Yeah, absolutely. Cool.
That would be bouncing.
I don't know, but I just have this feeling that Wrexham would sue a home leg first.
Yeah,
And
I can see what you mean.
I think this might sound stupid, but I think they could use that energy of getting in the playoffs and Stoke are us bouncing. Oh God, my camera bouncing as well. And use that and sort of maybe put some daylight. I don't know. We're talking long into the hypothetical future, but I feel like they could be one of the few teams in the division. I could say Derby could be one of them, where getting in the playoffs fifth or sixth, and having that away leg second could possibly suit them a little bit more, but I don't know.
Imagine Wrexham versus Millwall in the playoffs.
Oh,
That's tasty. That
would be.
I would be fearful of the second leg if it was at the Den.
Okay, I'll tell you what then. What about Wrexham versus Ipswich? There's tasty. There'll be some tasty playoff games regardless of whoever is in there, because you got clubs with different sort of matchups, different sort of styles, and obviously different sort of atmospheres. Well, I say different atmospheres. That's harsh, but really good. I think the home legs of each club. If Hull, for example, they were in the playoffs, MKM Stadium will be bouncing. Same with the Den with Millwall. Same with the racecourse with Wrexham. So and even to a lesser degree, Ipswich in the playoffs.
What's our fixtures over the next month? I already know of one, but what's our fixtures?
I have got them in front of me. You say that. Okay then. So let's just say, all right then. Next week, funny enough, we'll talk about Wrexham Millwall. That is your next fixture. That is Millwall at the racecourse.
We've got them twice actually.
Sorry?
We've got them twice as well, I think.
That's Ipswich you've got twice, because Ipswich in the FA Cup, yeah. So you got Millwall at home at the racecourse, then Ipswich at home in the FA Cup fourth round, which I would imagine, although you want to win every game, that's the one you're probably least concerned about, even though you still want to do well in it.
I'm not bothered about
okay.
To be honest.
That's fair enough. Then, according to Andy, you don't have a game on Tuesday, the 17th of February, so we'll just skip past that one. Then the 21st of February, you have Ipswich at the racecourse again. Then on the 24th, you have Portsmouth at the racecourse, followed by a trip to Charlton Leg. So in quick recap, you've got Millwall home, will not include the FA Cup, Millwall home, Bristol City away, Ipswich home, Portsmouth home, Charlton away.
Null and void.
Okay, so the 3 home games, I would expect us to take something from each game. I'm not saying we're going to win it, but a point would be good against Millwall because they're red hot, even though we're home. I think we could take Ipswich and we could take Portsmouth quite easily. Sorry, Portsmouth fans, but it's true.
I think as a neutral, you'd beat Portsmouth. I think. Yes. I think Andy's probably going to hate me for this, but he'll probably agree. I think I'd probably fancy us to beat Bristol City at the moment, given everything that's going on over there.
Christ.
Well, okay then. Well,
no. That sentence is just made me depressed. Sorry. God. Christ almighty.
I can relate to it because of one word I mentioned earlier. Phil Parkinson played for a point at Gillingham with Sunderland in League One. There you go. Andy's reaction said everything there for me.
And he played for a point at Ipswich and he got it as well.
What with you guys?
But anyway.
Yeah, okay, right. Okay. I do take your point. I'll say this, man. Your home games are big. Millwall and Ipswich are two that stand out in particular. Yeah. So we'll find out how that one goes. But now that I've said that I fancy it to be Bristol City, announced Bristol City 1, Wrexham 0, because that is the championship, even though Annie will probably laugh and roll his eyes at me saying that. But okay then. And speaking of Annie rolling his eyes, right, here we go. I have to say, Feb, I want to give Annie credit here. I watched his video on his channel. How on earth he did not swear? How on earth he relatively kept his cool, considering this was on Friday night, I believe, that you did upload that, and it wasn't Saturday morning. It was immediate aftermath of the game. I've got to ask you, how on earth did you keep your cool? Even if you were inside, you must have been absolutely boiling.
I have no idea. I'm one of those people that immediately after a game, I am absolutely like if we like that game example on Friday, I am absolutely seething like to the core.
Of course you would.
And then on the morning after, I have a little bit more of a compress it down, analyze it, sort of digest it through, and then sort of have your true feelings about the game, the whole situation. I'm one of those people that's happened every game, every time we win, we lose, we draw, whatever, right? And sometimes I convince myself it's not as bad as I thought it was. Like many games this season, we've lost, and I've thought after the game, okay, whatever, it's fine. We'll bounce back. Saturday morning was one of the worst feelings I have had in my stomach for the longest time. I woke up, and so the first hour after the game, the first hour after waking up, I was sort of going, God, we are a right mess here. Like we are just genuinely terrible. And there are serious problems at this football club. And Michael, you've been on every single show this season, haven't you? And pretty much, well, I think you missed
More or
one.
less.
Yeah.
More or less.
You've heard my thoughts. Even after winning games, I have said this team is not convincing me that much. This team is winning games. This team is up there in and around the playoff conversation, but I am still not that utterly convinced. There have been moments where I've gone, okay, now I'm fully on board, but then we follow it up and we don't follow it
From
up.
what I remember, they've been few and far between those moments.
Yeah, I've seen people. I have genuinely seen people from a Bristol City persuasion going, "It's a one-off, guys. Don't worry about it. Move on. Everything's fine in the world." I can't believe that. I cannot believe that performance, that result, that type of result has been coming all season. I'm afraid. 5-1 at Stoke, 5-0 against Derby. The fact that we conceded 5 goals at home, without response, without laying a glove on Derby, just makes me feel embarrassed. Like, and I don't use that word often, and I don't use that word lightly at all. It's embarrassing watching that. They gave up at 3-0. They gave up, literally gave up. And I love this group of players. They delivered playoffs last season. They were brilliant, and I sort of am grateful for them. And a lot of these players, they're being ripped apart. Viner's gone today. Mehmeti's gone. Max O'Leary's gone. Harry Cornick's gone. Yu Hirakawa's gone. They're being ripped apart. Yes, they're not being given much help in the form of incomings. But my God, they embarrassed me on Friday night. It was embarrassing. On the game itself, Derby, we played right into their hands. We got John Eustace and just was terrible. Didn't again. Defensively, organisation wise, it was honestly embarrassing, right? We knew going into the game we had one fit centre back available, and that was Rob Dickie. We've played a back 3 all season. You cannot play a back 3, or it's not a good idea to play a back 3 when you've got one fit centre back and you have to shoehorn 2 full-backs into that back 3, right? I think we can all agree that's not it's not common sense, is it? For any team
One
in the
you
world.
can get away with, but not 2.
It's not common sense for anyone in the world. And you've got a right wing back playing at left wing back as well. It added to that, which doesn't help either. You've got a right foot at left in the left and sort of left foot position. So I don't, in hindsight, Gerrard probably should have lined up with a back 4. But Campring, so the back 3 was Rob Dickie, George Tanner, Campring. Rob Dickie's obviously our starting centre back, fine. Campring has played numerous times in on the left hand side of a back 3, so it's not a new position for him, and he's probably And there is an argument that actually might be his best position. We're still a little bit undecided, but I'd probably say left wing back. George Tanner can't play wing back, so he has to play in a back three. So, and he's played many games for us on that position. So those are three players. One of them who's actually played. One of them is a starting centre back. One of them who's played many games in a back three and arguably is his best position there. Another one who can't play anywhere else in this system and has played numerous games in the back three. How on God's green earth is that defense such a shambles against Derby? Like, no organisation, cut through like a hot knife through butter. It was genuinely cringeworthy. The third goal actively made me just laugh because you could see it coming. I think it's Patrick Agmiang passes it into Lewis Travis, and I could see that goal coming from about 20 seconds before it did. Ball goes to Ben Brereton Diaz. Cam Pring is the only person back for us, and he's behind only defender whilst we're defending a counter attack behind the halfway line or sort of anywhere near our goal. One player whilst we're defending a counter attack. One single player. Where the hell's the rest of the defence gone? It was genuinely embarrassing. That second goal. That second goal. Oh my goodness. Okay, it's a poor clearance. Jason Knight, I think, gives it away. But you've got to reset. You've got to switch back, and we've done that multiple times this season. We've sort of got rid of or just generally, where we've sort of switched back on after a mistake. We're chasing our tails. It was genuinely cringeworthy, cringe-inducing, that second goal. Like, it was like a bunch of lost puppies trying to chase after a ball. That's what it felt like a bunch of.
No, I know what you mean.
It was genuinely painful, and to think that those players, all of them pretty much on the starting 11, apart from a couple of exceptions, were in the team that played in the playoffs last season. How far that team has gone backwards is quite astounding. Based on that performance, but this team needs help. Like, this team needs serious help, and Steve Lansdowne, our glorious owner, said before the game, gave an interview with BBC Radio Bristol before the game, and this is a fan base already on edge. If you guys didn't know, this fan base, well, portions of it, very small minority of it, they get in the Sheffield Wednesday game not so long ago, so our latest home game before this one. There was chance of sack the board, minority. We have sold Mehmeti. We have sold Zach Viner. A large proportion of the squad has been disposed of. And yes, individually in isolation, those player sales make sense, or the deals make sense. But you have so many going out the door and not a lot coming in. You're giving yourself a lot to do. And some of the deals are just weird.
Is there any signs of anybody coming in, even on loan? I know you signed a centre back, I think, from the MLS, I want to say.
Yeah. New York
recently.
Red Bulls centre back Noah Eli, I think is how you pronounce his second name. He looks like he's going to be coming in for about circa $4.5 million, so about £3 million, I think, or just around that rough ballpark figure. So that's a signing we needed to make. Zach Viner's gone out the door, so that's a signing we needed to make as a replacement. But Rob Atkinson is also injured, so whether or not there's an argument to be made that we potentially need more centre-back cover based on how Cam Pring and George Tanner performed on Friday night, but there could be a serious argument for that. And we need another forward. Like, we genuinely need another forward, because I went into this window under the assumption that Anis was not going to leave, and we've signed Delano Bergsall, which was our forward. Now you've taken Anis out of the equation, you need another forward, or at least an Anis type player. Whether or not we're going to get that, I don't know. And if we don't get that tomorrow, yeah, good luck to playoffs, because that's we've not scored any goals in our last 6 games, and the ones that we've scored goals in one game, I think, in our last 6 or 7 games, right? And the only goals we scored were against Sheffield Wednesday. That's embarrassing to say the least. This team desperately needs help going forward. Yeah. Anyway, back to the Steve Lansdown interview. He talked. I promise I'll stop rambling at some point. He talked a lot about. Well, there's a lot of scrutiny on him because of this transfer window. There's a lot of scrutiny on him because there's a lot of questions over, does he have the drive anymore? Does he have the ambition anymore to go and get Bristol City to the Premier League? And he said a lot of things that when you've got a fan base on edge, when you've got unhappy customers, you don't go and let's say you've got a customer or a bunch of customers that are unhappy with a product because it's not functioning to what they want. You don't just keep making the same product, right? You change something about it. And what Steve Lansdown basically said was, screw you, I'm going to keep the same product and I'm going to just keep selling it. And if you don't like it, well, I don't really care. And you can have a look on Twitter how that went down. And myself included, I think a lot of fans probably lost Steve Lansdown probably lost after that interview, coupled with the result on Friday night. I think he probably lost them. And it's a shame because Steve Lansdown has been here, 24 years, something like that. He's been here a long time. Steve Lansdown, the owner. So it's a shame. And he was asked about, the daily sort of where's the Mehmeti money gone? Where's the Semenyo money gone? And he was asked, and he sort of complained about paying the bills. And he didn't complain about it explicitly, but it almost felt like I've got to pay the bills. That's taking cost. It's like, well, any half competent owner will pay the bills. Like, unless you're Jepon Chansiri, you're going to be paying the bills. I'm presuming even the Venky's pay the bills at Blackburn, like to a certain degree. So it just all felt like rubbing the fans up the wrong way. He also mentioned that we're a spending club, which I think was just hilarious considering how little we've spent over the last 3 windows. He mentioned Tommy Conway, Alex Scott, and Antoine Semenyo, who has 3 big player sales. Okay, Steve, what since? That last one was Scott, and this is Conway. Sorry, Conway. Yeah, Conway. And that was what.
That was not like 5 million or something.
Yeah, it's not. It's a drop in the ocean for a lot of Championship clubs. Like 5 million is okay for a non-parachute club. That's quite a lot, but it's not 15, it's not 20, is it? And so it's a semi-major sale. It's not a lot. And what since? We've sold Anis Mehmeti for £3 million, and he's our biggest asset, and he's easily worth about 10. We sold Zach Viner for £1.5 million to a direct playoff rival. Let's just get that straight. Direct playoff rival, and Zach Viner in his Wrexham interview talked about ambition, talked about wanting to play in the Premier League, and seeing this going to Wrexham, who have just been promoted from League One, as a better opportunity than a team who have just finished in the playoffs last season.
You can see Stephan's tried so hard not to laugh there.
This is not anything to do with Wrexham. This would be literally most clubs are in the playoff race.
Yeah.
How on earth does he see? This is a Bristol boy, by the way, so you can't get any more sort of Bristol City through and through than Zach Viner. I'm sure he would have loved to stay at Bristol City for the rest of his career. I'm sure he would have, but he wants to play in the Premier League and he sees Wrexham as a better opportunity. Can you blame him? No, I can't. No, I can't blame him at all. I can't blame him in the slightest. I don't think he's wrong. I think Wrexham are going to get there before us. What's the common denominator in all of this? It's not Zach Viner. It's not Anis Mehmeti. It's not going to be Jason Knight next summer or Ross McCrory when they inevitably move on if we're sensible and we sell them at the right time. I'm sat here season after season. Last season aside, I am frustrated because this football club hasn't maximized its potential. I'm frustrated because our best players keep leaving, and it's not the frustration at the best players keep leaving. It's the frustration that we can't go and replace them adequately or spend it sort of adequately and replace them well enough. And the fact that players like Zach Viner, who are so unique in modern day football, think that going to other clubs who are direct competitors with Bristol City is a better option of promotion to the Premier League, whilst we've been stuck in this division for 11 seasons. I think that's what's irking fans a lot, and the fact that Steve Lansdown comes on here and acts like an arrogant, petulant child and tells us fans to literally just be grateful for what we have I think that's what's rubbed us and me clearly, as you can tell, the wrong way. And I think there are
You're more
serious.
animated here than on your own video, which
I
is
think
quite.
there's. I think unless there is some serious movement tomorrow, which I'd be surprised at, to be honest. If I'd like to see another forward come in, but I'd also I wanted this window to be an opportunity for improvement, not catching our own tails. Like, oh, we sold our 2 best players. Oh my god, we have to replace them. I wanted on top of our 2 best players to stay, not them 2 leaving and then trying to replace them. And that's not what I wanted. I don't think anyone wanted that, really. So the fact that we're in this situation now is just embarrassing. So yeah, and apart from that, the football club's great. We're going up, and it's all good in the world. Yeah, fantastic.
Stephan, I don't know about you. I could tell that Annie kind of felt like he needed to let that out a bit. Yeah, I mean, I don't. I think I think there was a comment you made on your video, and correct me if I'm paraphrasing you here, before we head off. But you said something like, when you look at the lineup Derby had when they were in League One season before last, and I think it was like Ben Britton, Diaz, Ryan Brewster, you had Clark in there, Agniang, I think it is how you say it. I think, and I can imagine, yes, okay, for you, I can imagine how depressing it would be when you're going, they were in League One, they've just come up and they've got a better forward line than us.
And by the way, Derby were in financial turmoil. Like, they were 21 points deduction in the Championship, didn't get promoted on the first time of asking in League One, finished outside the playoffs, and then got promoted under Paul Horne. They sold Jason Knight and Max Bird to us. They sold their 2 best. They sold their 2 most promising academy players to Bristol City, and we're now being overtaken by them. Do you know how embarrassing that is? There's no disrespect to Derby. I think Derby are a fantastic football club. I think John Eustace is a great manager. I said on the video, I'm actively jealous of that front line they have. I mean, what front line they have, right? Diaz, Agimang, Bobby Clark, Ryan Brewster. I mean, I would die.
Carl Morris as well, who isn't even starting for them, obviously, whether through injury or whatever else.
Andy Vyman came on and got an assist. Of course he did against Bristol City. So yeah, look, and teams recently, Wrexham this season, Derby, Hull to a certain degree. I mean, I know they're having a bit of a fluke, but Ipswich, they've sort of established themselves as a top.
We say Birmingham to a degree, considering they went down and come straight back up.
Yeah, and they've got
because they didn't really do that much in the Championship themselves when they were in it before.
Yeah, they were sort of circling the drain, weren't they? Luton, I know they're in League One now, but they've had a season in the Prem. What are the common denominators here? They're all teams. They've just come up and gone, right, we'll just take over. We'll just go and surpass Bristol City, and have just easily gone to the Premier League. I mean, Ipswich are the perfect example, aren't they? And have just back to back got the parachute payments, and now they're top of the Championship, and they're going to be there for a little while as well. So it's just depressing. It really is. And in all of this, I've missed Gerhard Struber out, and I do have a lot of sympathy for Struber. I think he's a good man. I think he's a decent man. I think he's a good manager. I think you should be getting more out of these players. I do, because I think we have a good squad. And even before the mass exodus of January, I think we were probably not convincing, and we probably should have been getting more out of these players. But his hands are tied so far behind his back, they might as well be in Cornwall. Like, he can't do anything with it. He can't do anything when he's not being backed properly, and he's having his best players sold up from underneath him. It's just a complete hot. It's a hot mess. This football club is, and it really does question your sanity. But yeah, well, what a shit show.
I thought you were actually going to say a pile of
SHIT, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, you want to say that? So Friday and Bristol City. There you go.
And sorry, finally. Tomorrow, if tomorrow doesn't go well, who are we playing next? Hull. Good Lord. If tomorrow does not go well for this football club, I pity that ownership, because the next home game, who are we playing next home game? Wrexham. if Zach Viner lines out and we haven't signed a forward, and we'll start with
Come on.
we'll sign a centre back. No, Riley will come through. But if we haven't signed a forward and haven't got an adequate replacement, yeah, things will get toxic quick. Things are already toxic, really. Ramp that up about 10-15%, and that's where you'll get with Bristol fans.
Just imagine if Wrexham beat Millwall next week, the momentum going into that game against the old Bristol, the Ashton Gate is going to be off the chart.
The group chats are going to be so interesting when you two play each other. That's all I'll say on that.
And sorry, finally, this promise for last point. I know Michael said at the very start of the show, 4 points off the playoffs. You can forget about that. Forget about that. Like, we are not in a million years. Not with this current setup we have at the moment. Not with this current. We've wasted January, haven't we? We've basically seen this January, whereas many Bristol City fans have seen it as an opportunity to improve the squad. We have basically seen it as a self-destruct button and gone, we're going to ruin the relationship with the fans, and we're going to sell our best players and not adequately replace them by the 2nd of Feb.
Thank
brilliant.
you, Ant, for your lovely comment on Connor Cody.
I'm not even going to bother reading that. I can't even see it, but I can't be bothered. I know it'll be some derogatory comment of some description. So
It is. It's derogatory, all right.
Yeah, okay then. Cheers, Ant. But yeah, so yeah. Okay, well, I'm quite glad that we've let Annie have this little 15-minute therapy session and sort of try to get it off his chest. I think the board kind of look like they've seen it as a perfect opportunity to help get some money to try and pay the bills, rather than.
And the question, the thing that boggles my mind is, how are teams like, sorry, I won't use that phrase, Derby, Millwall, teams like that who are sort of in and around us, who I'm presuming are playing sort of similar wages to players. How are they not complaining? Why are they not complaining about player wages and that sort of taking up the whole budget? Why are they not complaining about that? Why are we the only ones really sort of complaining about players? The Derby have just spent 7 million on a centre forward from the MLS. They've just paid what, 3.5 million on Sammy Smodics, Lewis Travis for 3 million, Max Johnson for 3 million.
What was the transfer fee for Viner?
1.5 million. About a fraction of his value.
I'm guessing the reason he was that cheap was because his contract was allowed to go down to the final 6 months.
Why on earth is that happening? Why is that? We've rejected 3 million in the summer, which I still think is a little bit lower than what we should be getting. I think it's about 4 million is his actual value, about that. But we rejected 3 in the summer from Wrexham, and we've this crazy position where we have to get rid of our best assets for a depreciated value because we got a bargain
price, yeah.
Self-inflicted absolute nonsense. Why are you complaining about players down to 6 months again? Yes, they want to leave. That's again. It's not blaming them. If you get an offer from Wrexham or Ipswich, go, right? Promotion more likely there than us. So it's just a pathetic hot mess, but what can more
definitely try to hide laughing, mate. Oh my god.
Try it.
Yeah, no, I get off, but I'm looking at clubs around Bristol City. I mean, like, QPR, one example, Derby, given their current situation, Watford to a lesser degree, you're going, well, Preston, there's another example. But it's funny, if your owner's complaining about got to pay the bills, well, there's a simple test, mate. It's called don't own a football club. So, but hey ho. Right.
We bring the table up, lad.
Yes, I was going to say, let's get to end this, because I think, I know Annie probably won't be truly feeling better, but I suppose he'll feel slightly less greedy. At least he would have been able to get a bit of that out of him. But So yeah, we have Coventry and Ipswich, Coventry and Middlesbrough both on 58 points in the top two. The playoffs consisting of Hull City, Ipswich Town, Millwall, and Wrexham, as I'm sure Stephan will not get tired of hearing anytime soon. So yeah, on 53, 51, 50, and 47 points respectively. And then I can't be bothered to say the whole points tally for all these teams, but we'll go down. So you got then Derby, Preston, Bristol City, Watford, QPR, and Stoke all making the top 12. That at the shake of the head from Manny is if we are in the top half, let alone anywhere near playoffs by the end of the season, it'll be a miracle by the sound of it.
Look at the state of the teams above us, mind. Like honestly,
yeah.
Christ.
And then in the bottom half we have Birmingham, Southampton, Swansea, Leicester City, Sheffield United, Charlton Athletic, Norwich City, Portsmouth, West Bromwich Albion, ahead of obviously the midweek games with games in hand for some teams. And then the bottom three with Blackburn with 29 points, Oxford with 27 points, and Sheffield Wednesday minus 7 points, which, if I'm right, puts them, I think it's 39 points adrift of safety, unfortunately for them. But yes, that is pretty much. I was going to say all got time for, but I mean, unless Annie wants to run for another 20 minutes about the settle at Bristol City, but that's just
probably going to go scream into my pillow.
Yeah, well, again, so if you want to go behind the scenes of Annie Harris's YouTube channel, where he screams into a pillow and just goes, "Oh, this is so shit." So, but yeah. So, well, hopefully next weekend for Bristol City will be better, but I suspect Annie probably severely doubts it. I'm not even looking at my phone. I can already see the shaking.
Holloway.
And
yeah,
of course, next weekend will be the first championship review after the transfer window closes.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Which, as you can see from the bottom of the screen, shameless plug here, guys. Myself, Carl, and I think Doug might be joining us, and a few of us are doing a transfer deadline day special on this channel tomorrow from 11 a.m. on the other platform, because Carl's setting it up, not me. And so we'll have nice backgrounds, nice designs, and yeah, it'll all be good.
Thanks very much to everyone who has watched, and yes, of course, come along for the championship. Deadline day special. If Sunderland weren't playing tomorrow night, I probably would more than likely have come on. But obviously, thanks, Sky Sports. But anyway, thanks to everyone who has watched, and thanks again to Stephan for setting this up, legend, and of course, thanks to Annie for joining as always, and for that very passionate 20-minute segment on Bristol City, which was actually really good. I know he would much rather be not ranting and actually have them not be crap, but. Still.
Well done for holding your tongue in that as well.
I would really recommend anyone watching Annie's video, because he speaks with a lot of composure for given the game had just happened at that point, and that takes some doing. So I applaud you for that. That was actually really impressive. But yeah, and I loved listening to how passionate, and it is kind of funny, but it's also sad because you know how much you care about, as every fan cares about their club, and when it's in a bad state, of course you care a lot. You know what I mean? But either way, so we'll see what happens tomorrow for deadline day, and we'll see beyond that. But till next week, guys, see you all, and we'll see what the mood is for all three of us again.
You'll find out at 7 p.m.
Bye, chaps.
Take care.
Bye.